So just for your benefit, um, how we are planning to kind of move in this class is actually just to cover the key central aspects of Buddhism. We have already kind of covered the middle way philosophy, middle way practice, and then bit of three characteristics of existence, five khandhas, and six sense bases, and then we're getting slightly deeper um, into dependent, co-rising, dependent origination, um, as well. So we, yeah, I mean, that's kind of our plan. So if there's anything else you wish to kind of, um, cover, and you are, really interested to know through the Pali canon, and please feel free to, so we, in our first class, we covered nearly about, I think about, shall we say, um, covered about over 20 sutras, which is quite good, and which really very nicely touch on the key principles of Buddhism. So, and we learn sort of the language of Pali in some way, but not really grammar that much. And if you're keen and interested to learn some grammar, of course we can facilitate that. And there are several texts available online. Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi is holding a Pali grammar class, and it's quite good. And is kind of very slow and but very steady, getting into kind of grammar, etc. But this one, so therefore, I mean, there are these two extremes. Like one side is, um, teaching Pali as a language, whereas in the other part is like mostly sutra reading in a very conventional sense. So we try to follow the middle path, literally. So we try to actually get to the core of some interpretations, because see, the linguistic forms, language can be interpreted in numerous different ways. So what would be the ideal way of really understanding some of the concepts? If I were to sort of give you a brief, sutras, like, we started off with the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the, wheel of Dhamma, turning the wheel of Dhamma, the very first sutra. And then we just sort of slowly moved into Anattalakkana, and Anicca Sanya, and then the Pena Pindupama, we are on that. But I think if anybody is really seriously interested in learning Buddhism, is there any very first sutra that comes to your mind, which really guide us, which really um, which addresses or which really navigate people into the Lokuttara Dhamma. Now remember two, just give me 1 second. Venerable Dhammarathana is ringing, and let me just see what he wants to say. Um, so, yeah, so anyway, I'll give you 1.5 minutes for you to just tell me, what do you consider to be the most I mean, if somebody wants to really find a way, the Buddhist path, and especially I'm very pleased to see Alex very keen and interested. I mean, most people are really not interested in what's the word? Listening to the Buddha or entering the words of the Buddha. That's what I call entering the words of the Buddha. So, I mean, here we are talking about a personality who has been there physically, 2.5 millennia ago. So, how do we know, what he really taught, and in which language, and what was his message really? Yeah. So those are the, really relevant questions that one should really ask. So anyway, I mean, what is your, like, let's actually find our way. I mean, if I were to, give you a sort of a Buddhist philosophy of snake and ladders or whatever. Yeah, so snake and ladders. So what is the, where do you start? What sutta do you start with? And you would like to wish to find? I mean, let's spend, actually, I think that would really be very helpful to discuss that before we get to the reading of the next half of the Pena Pindupama Sutta. Any idea? I think Venerable Dhammarathana is having trouble connecting because he's on the move. So yeah, so let him take his time. So what is your, what is the, I mean, I want you to also give me a reason why. What and why? Or which sutta, and why do you, consider that to be the very first sutta you would like anybody to get, his or her hands on? Vijay, can I start off with you? Can't hear you, unfortunately.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Can
yeah,
you hear
yeah.
me now?
Yeah.
I was thinking that for me, like I was thinking it is a Satipatthana Sutta that
Okay.
we can recommend someone to start with. I found this is as the foundation, like just to start the journey.
Yeah.
Without having that foundation, like having the stability of your mindfulness, you may not have the journey towards
Yeah.
supramundane level.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not having much knowledge on that, but for me, like having very little knowledge, I feel like that's my starting point.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, that is absolutely fine. So, okay, I mean, there is absolutely no doubt whatsoever. Either Mahasatipatthana, there are two Satipatthana suttas, one in Samyutta Nikaya and one in Majjhima Nikaya, isn't it? So Satipatthana Sutta and Mahasatipatthana Sutta with little bit more details in one. So that's your, yeah. I mean, I think that's a really, because I think it makes a lot of sense to that's how and why this mindfulness revolution has really helped people to navigate. Because if you really see, I mean, the first step is establishing mindfulness, and in fact, that kind of thinking is very common sense in numerous ways. Yeah. So no, thank you for that. So let's hear, because I think doing a short brainstorm on that would be really good. So I mean, produce. Yeah. So your reasons are basically, you say, okay, if the 7 factors of enlightenment starts with sati. Sati means actually mindfulness. So it should be the mindfulness sutta, which is Satipatthana Sutta, establishing mindfulness, or foundations of mindfulness. I mean, there are also different approaches to it. Some people say, it's foundations of mindfulness, as opposed to approaches of mindfulness or whatever. So that is your reasoning, and which is supported by the fact that the 7 factors of enlightenment, as you remember, it starts with sati, mindfulness. The second one is Dhamma Vichaya, investigation of Dhamma. And the next one is Virya, effort, energy. Yeah. Sati, Dhamma Vichaya, Virya. And the next one is Piti. Piti is joy. Yeah. Piti. And then the Passaddhi. Passaddhi is translated as tranquility. Yeah. Samadhi. Samadhi is being translated as, I mean, there are again different translations. Some people say it's better to translate as concentration. Some people say better translate as stillness. Yeah, samadhi. And then prajna or prajna. Bhante Vijayasiri is here. Welcome, Bhante. Good to see you, as always. Smiley face. Yeah.
Hi, sir. Sorry for being late, sir.
No worries. No. We had a long chat about the Sri Lankans can never be late. Philosophically, they can never be late, because they are four and yes, they are 4.5 hours ahead of us. But
that's
yeah.
the problem.
Anyway.
My usual time is 10:30 in Sri Lanka.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
exactly. Yeah, no worries. And Bhanthe Dhammarathana is on the move as well. And we are we started, to chat away on one question. The question was, yeah, probably I should ask Vijay to summarize. What is the question that we were, lingering on?
Yeah, Dr. Sunil was asking if we are to consider the supramundane level, Lokottara. So what may be our first sutta that we are recommending, or we are going for first to the journey for supramundane?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, let's even make it even more general. Now, if you were to introduce Buddhism to a stranger, somebody who doesn't know anything about, and you want to actually give really some landmarks, you know, and a pathway through the Pali canon to find out or get to the core of Buddhist teaching. Yeah. So what would that sutta be? And what is your kind of, if I ask you to organize, I mean, I give you, I mean, there are 18,000 sutras, and we are not sadly able to read all of them, but we have to pick and choose, and we have to make sure that we navigate the journey before our life ends. Yeah, it would be really sad to leave this planet, you know, without at least being introduced, or, you know, hearing what the Buddha said, because the Buddha's message is so precious, isn't it? And so special. Yeah. So how would you introduce Buddhism to someone, or ask? So Viji's suggestion is, let's start off with the Satipatthana Sutta, because mindfulness is the first step in the 7 factors of enlightenment, Satta Bojjhanga. Yeah. So therefore, that's common sense for anyone to start with mindfulness. In fact, there is an example in the world for that, because a lot of people start off with mindfulness nowadays, especially in the Western world. And they get introduced to mindfulness, and then they, you know, slowly get to know the other suttas, and finally, I mean, you know, you know, it was amazing. There was a one lord in the House of Lords here in the UK, called Lord Avery. He's you know, he just sort of became a Buddhist by accident. I mean, a lot of people like Christmas Humphrey, a High Court judge in central London, and a lot of other people actually become Buddhist by accident. Yeah. I mean, you know, some of us, I mean, I don't know about Alex, but, you know, most Sri Lankans are born to Buddhism. So it's in their kind of birth certificate. So therefore, it's sort of a part of their heritage. So therefore, it's like, you know, like a lot of people in the Western world, you know, are born to Christian families, and therefore they become Christians. And in the same way, we are Buddhist by birth, and but do we really discover it? Yeah. Now that's a kind of a $1 million question to ask, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, Vijay has argued her case quite convincingly. So nobody can actually, you know, form a counter argument against that. So how what would you agree with that, or would you rather? I mean, what my you know, my this is what I really want you to start reflecting on. So, I mean, you know, you have these 18,000 sutras kind of thrown at you, and they are very complex, spread all over the Tripitaka, the Pali, 3 baskets. Yeah. And we don't know where to start, and we don't know how to get to the core of the Buddhist teaching. Yeah. Isn't it? So anyway, let's hear another view, or or would you rather go with Vijay's argument? What would you say, Alex?
It's a very interesting question. And I say that because the sutras, to introduce someone who has in no way any experience with Buddhism, would be in this premise come out of the Pali canon, right?
Yeah.
Because I, as a Mahayana Buddhist, I would probably start with something else. But limiting myself to the Pali canon, I strongly feel like agreeing with Vijay. I would then actually, that's in the Mahayana view of myself, look at what is the condition, so upaya, what is the condition of the enterer, of the one who is interested. Then, I mean, if someone knows nothing about Buddhism, but taking mindfulness as one of the foundational practices to enter into Buddhism, into the Buddhist practice, everybody knows about breathing. So I would tend to go to the Anapanasati Sutra. That would be a good one. And also the Kachamagota Sutta for dependent origination.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So that, now see the level of depth that you have already touched on. And I think that's really beautiful. I mean, that's this way of investigating Dhamma is quite healthy. Because now, you can see some of the really monks who just came to the Buddha did not have the luxury of choosing, or actually which way to go and so on. But I mean, whilst we are at a disadvantage, being born 2,500 years after his demise, but still we are I mean, endowed, we are actually very lucky to have these 18,000 suttas in 3 baskets. The Pali Nikayas is wonderful, isn't it? I mean, we should all be really grateful to those who have preserved it over these centuries. So yeah, no, that's beautiful. So what Alex has taken, whilst agreeing with the main premise, and also expanded it a little bit more, like and conjoining it with like, say, I mean, even in the Satipatthana Sutta, the first pabba is Kaya Anupassana, the body awareness. And the body awareness really starts off with the mindfulness of breathing, Anapanasati pabba. So Alex has a very good point, and it's already, so what in essence what Alex is doing is expanding on Vijay's point and kind of sharpening the argument a bit more. Okay, that's lovely. Fantastic. So, I mean, that also gives me an opportunity of the depth and the width of the suttas that you have navigated around. And so I can, yeah, so I know I can kind of calibrate my class according to your kind of, approach and vision and the yeah, and the path you're taking. Anyway, so let's hear from Venerable Vijita Siri as well. Are you going to agree with both Alex and Vijay,
Yes,
or
sir.
take a risk? Yeah.
Totally agree with both, and I think it's good as a practical way. And my another opinion, as you also mentioned, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta also very good for introduce the Four Noble Truth, and it is the central philosophy of Buddhism. It Trisiksha, Trividya, everything, and Paticca Samuppada, Eight Noble Path, and everything we can discuss, including in the. But the problem is, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is very short and very briefly introduced. So we have to go further with the Satyavibhanga Sutta or something other sutta also together.
Wow. Yeah. That's really beautiful, Venerable Vijayasiri, because that is what you have done is now. I mean, now see, it gives me the opportunity to kind of look at how you approach the question, and you have actually added a philosophical background to the whole teaching, whereas the Vijay's and Alex's approach is more practical. Let's get on hands-on. But what you're saying is, let's find a good framework to work with, and then like a theory as opposed to starting with a practice. So what theory are you? I mean, like you're absolutely right. The Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and the Buddha starts off with Dve me bhikkhave anta, monks, there are these two extremes, this and that, and then not falling into this. So he just sort of outlines his path journey in such a way that it provides a framework and philosophy. And then you mentioned the Satyavibhanga, which is a little more detail, going into the details of some of those aspects. So that's lovely. That's really fantastic. Okay. How amazing. Now, this is really good. It enriches way of looking at the Dharma and approach to Dharma. Okay. Okay. So now let me actually tell you why I asked that question. I asked that question actually. I mean, I because I do fully agree with you. Somebody has to start with somewhere, and everybody is not in the same place, so to speak. So we are all at different levels, different dispositions, different backgrounds, different cultural, and social or academic status, etc., etc. So how do you actually communicate, deep teachings such as Buddhism to someone? So, Venerable Vijita says, what your position, you have tapped into the Buddha's wisdom. So the Buddha himself chose to, just go to Varanasi, and first he got rejected by the 5 ascetics, and then later on somehow he got, accepted, and he chose that path, and but mind you, Venerable, I think I'm going to take a risk here. Yeah. And mind you, I'm actually going to oppose all your positions and argue a different case. Yeah, this is my kind of interest. So why I'm suggesting something totally different. I'll explain why, and then you can argue with me and you can fight with me. One of the good things about Zoom is we can enter into a fight without physically being attacked. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to take a different position altogether. And I will first lay out my case. I'll say, I mean, of course, the Buddha had his disciples who were practicing meditators, who are already, on the path, quite motivated, well, prepared to listen to him and understand it, reflect the message, etc., etc. But we are talking about, I mean, we are living in a 21st century. I mean, he lived in the 6th century BC. So whereas we live in 21st century. So I mean, you should have asked me when I posed the question, you should have asked me, what is the audience? Who is the audience? Without really knowing the audience, how could you make some recommendations? Where to start, how to start, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, audience also matters. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just talking about the world we are living in today. So I mean, at that time, these 6 ascetics, I mean, well, of course, the Buddha did his homework, didn't he? He, after his enlightenment, he was just thinking, well, this is a very deep Dhamma that I realized, and who should I share it with first? And then, he was thinking of all these great teachers, the masters who, have helped him develop his meditation, Alar Kalama and Uddakarama Puttas, and Bhagavas, and, who all of these were actually dead and gone and born in the Tusita heaven. So, yeah. So, and he was actually, he, and the very first disciple that he came, encountered, Upaka. He didn't, remember we were talking about Upaka, and he didn't care about that message at all. So, okay. So on that basis, what I'm going to tell you probably will surprise you. And I think, I mean, if I were to introduce Buddhism today, I would start off with a totally different sutta. And I'll tell you why. I will start off with this sutta. Let me write it down. Yeah. So what, any guesses? Anything you would, like to guess, what sutta that could be? No?
Are we still talking about the Pali Canon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, we are, I mean, Alex, thank you for raising that up, because here we are talking about, I mean, I mean, assuming that, I mean, scriptures, now these scriptures, the Pali canon, as a scripture, but I'm not, not really in principle limiting myself to the Pali canon. It could be, and probably what I'm going to, tell you may actually show some pointers towards some Mahayana sutras as well. Yeah. So, I mean, so therefore, I'm not. So, do you have anything else to add to your case? I mean, given our discussion, we are sort of slowly broadening our discussion. Do you have anything to add, Alex?
No, now I'm really curious what you're going to bring up.
Okay. Yeah. So in the Majjhima Nikaya, there is a sutta called this is the sutta. Yeah. It's called Maha Chatta Risaka Sutta. Okay. Maha Chattarisaka Sutta. And Maha means, we all know, it's great. Chattarisaka means actually 40. So, Sutta of the Great 40. Now, this is a very crucial, in my view. I mean, the reason why I did not take that is it's kind of philosophically very high, and that is why I didn't start off with that. But I might, in an advanced course, I would start off with that. So the great, Mahachattarisaka Sutta, the great 40. Yeah. And I'll very briefly tell, we are going to actually have a look at Mahachattarisaka Sutta very briefly. In fact, I wonder whether it would be a good idea to look at today. Probably, maybe we can do, but I'll first like outline the content of it. And the Buddha says, monks, I'm going to teach you the Aryan Samadhi. It's called Aryan Samadhi. Yeah. I'm going to teach you Aryan Samadhi. So that's his kind of thesis. And then what he says is, I'm going to, before I actually teach you Aryan Samadhi, I will have to teach you what the right view is. Okay. The topic there, mainly it says was the right view. Yeah. Yeah. And then the Buddha says, right view is of two types. He says, what is the Pali word for right view? The Pali word for right view is Samadhi. Yes, that's right. You are on mute. That's why I didn't hear you. Okay. So the Buddha says the right view is of two types. There is a mundane right view, and there is supramundane. And this is what we call Lokya, Lokuttara. So now these two words are very important. You know, there is actually Lokiya Dhamma. There is a Lokuttara Dhamma. Actually, I mean, most religions, you know, actually come under this thing, you know, Lokiya Dhamma, right? Mundane right view. Monks, the right view, Sammadittim paham bhikkhave dvayang vadami. Dvayang. Dvayang means two. Yeah. Dvayang. So the right view, O monks, is of two types. One is, you know, Sasava Punya Bhagya Upadive Pakha. It says Sasava. It's with asava. Asava means defilements. So it's actually, you know, belonging to the world. Sasava, punya bhagya, you know, merit making. Upadive pakpa. It actually accumulates upadhis, attachments. Yeah. So there is a right view, mundane right view, which is actually Lokiya, which actually keeps people hooked into the worldly dhamma. And this is where all the, I mean, ethics comes, you know, ethics. So, I mean, you know, if you know, I mean, ethics is a philosophy of, I mean, it's a kind of moral philosophy. You know, how one should actually live in the world. You know, what is the right thing and wrong thing. Yeah. And so making a choice, like how you would like to live, like, you know, do you want to live a life with 5 precepts, you know, having some principles, etc., etc. Now, you know how much we have in common with even other religions, so you know, so to speak. So, like, you know, some, I mean, religions, all religions actually, surprisingly come to agree on ethical values, isn't it? It is of importance in the world. So, in other words, you can't meditate after a full day of killing, stealing, you know, sexual misconduct, or lying, or, you know, engaging in other unacceptable worldly behavior. You can't, you know, I mean, it's impossible. You don't have a path. So you really have to, I mean, this is where this really provides a very good case for religion. I mean, you know, religion essentially, I mean, you know, you can argue whether do we have to follow a religion to be ethical or not. I mean, that's a different argument altogether. But essentially, you know, what the Buddha says is, without following the mundane right view, you know, mundane right view, one will not have access to the supramundane. Yeah. So now that really is, isn't that quite interesting? It's very much like this. Look, I mean, now even in Satipatthana or mindfulness, you know, you can have 2 types of mindfulness. Now, one is, now remember we were talking about sati, Satipatthana. Now, do you remember the division that we make? Patthana. Yeah. Sorry, Bhante.
Satipatthana and Sati Upatthana.
Upatthana. That's it. Exactly right. Yeah. Upatthana. So Upatthana, I mean that Upattita Sati. So Patthana is kind of placing, you know, first you will have to place your attention on an object, or develop some sensory connection, because we are, you know, increasingly living in a world where the sensory disconnection is the norm, isn't it? Like, you know, we are very disconnected. We look at things, we don't see them. We listen to people, we hardly hear them. We walk about, we don't feel our feet on the ground. We eat our food. When was the last time you tasted your food? Blah, 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 blah. So therefore, one really has to start off with establishing mindfulness, or you know, developing what Buddhism calls chitta ekaggata. Yeah, it is, you know, the one-pointedness of the mind. One-pointed of the mind, chitta ekaggata. Yeah, because if you are not able to establish that chitta ekaggata, and then you are not in a position to actually use it. It is just like sharpening a knife, isn't it? I mean, if you want to use a knife, what is the first thing you do? You just go and sharpen it first, right? So similarly, you know, if you want to use your mind, just get it ready to use it in the right way in the first place, because you know you can't penetrate into a reality, into a truth, without really developing a sharp mind, can you? Yeah. Now that is you know, the rationale here. I mean, this is why the Chattarisaka, Mahachattarisaka Sutta is so profound. And the Buddha says, right view is of two types, monks, mundane, and then the other one is supramundane. And it, you know, the supramundane one, he says, lokuttara, maganga. You know, it says lokuttara. Now, you know, actually pay attention to that word, lo kuttara. It really transcends the world. Maganga. And it actually paved the way to a path, journey. Yeah. So Maganga, that's where the real path emerges. Yeah. So the one is Sasava Punya Bhagya Upadivepakha Anasava Lokuttara Maganga. I mean, you know, we are going, I mean, the reason why I'm just introducing this sutta so that you can really understand why we are reading, why we would like to read that sutta. So I'm just sort of showing you a short introduction, through a short introduction, a preview of that. Okay, so like right view, and then the Buddha says, if you don't have the right view, you don't have the right intention, you don't have the right attitude, you don't have right speech, and you don't have, you know, right livelihood, right action, right concentration, right right mindfulness. Now, now that's a very interesting one again. So mindfulness also, according to this sutta, is of two types. One is actually the lokiya mindfulness, worldly mindfulness. I mean, you can call it whatever. And the one really which transcends, yeah, Lokuttara Maganga. So, isn't that really amazing? Now it is exactly like, now, I mean, you got into the exact right topic. And now what I'm actually trying to do is to create even more ground for your argument to cherish, an argument to grow. So I'm just arguing that, of course, you should start with the mindfulness, but what type of mindfulness is of two types, worldly one or this one. And if you just say, oh, we all understand Lokuttara Dhamma, then how do we know? How do we know? I mean, if we were mistaken, I mean, there actually, sorry, there is a really key, there is another key sutta. I'm going to actually take that as up as well. It's called Patama Rahogata Sutta. Let me just clear some of this. But it is called Patama Rahogata Sutta. Yeah. And I can assure you, anyone who has no idea of this sutta, this is actually Arahat, one of the Arahants, Arahant Anuruddha and Arahant who is the left-hand disciple of the Buddha, Moggallana. Yeah? Yeah, Moggallana. And the two monks are discussing this sutta, Patama Rahogata Sutta, which we will take up. And here, very interesting thing again is Venerable Anuruddha says, isn't it something, well, one day it just occurred to him. He just, after his rest, he was thinking to himself, if somebody has got introduced to a wrong mindfulness, and then the person is going to lose the right mindfulness. Yeah. And so then the Venerable Moggallana, being a very, he's a very skillful monk with all psychic powers, and he just appears in front of Venerable Anuruddha and say, aha, amazing, how amazing that you just found this out. And then there is a discussion. So this is Patama Rahogata Sutta is the key. Yeah, it's the key to the Satipatthana Sutta. Yeah. And I can actually very convincingly argue that if you go to Satipatthana Sutta without actually having a good idea of what these two monks are talking about, and you will not get to the message, in an incisive, insightful way. Patama Rahogata Sutta. Yeah. So that's a very, very interesting sutta. It's tucked away in the Samyutta Nikaya, and I mean, it's not one of the famous suttas, yeah, but that's very important one. Okay, so now, have I convinced you, and have I argued my case? Yeah. You don't have to agree with me, okay? I don't kind of harm people physically. I might harm you mentally and psychologically, okay? Misleading you. But I'm just sort of, no, basically I know, do you take my point? Do you, yeah, did you follow me,
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, very good. I mean, you don't have to tell it politely, but so basically what I'm saying is, yes, mindfulness, yes, but what mindfulness? How do people, how do we know that we are practicing mindfulness or right mindfulness? Right mindfulness within quote unquote. So, therefore, the Mahachattarishika Sutta, what it does is it tells you what the right mindfulness is, what the right view is, and the Lokiya and Lokuttara sense, in the worldly realm. I mean, the reason why I'm just saying this is a lot of people think they understand the world. They understand suffering. We understand, we all think we understand suffering. But what the Buddha says is the exact opposite, isn't it? The Buddha says you don't understand suffering. That's your problem. So you don't understand it at all. So, I mean, that he says, what's the Pali expression? He says, Ananubodha appativeda. Chatunnang bhikkhave arya satchana. Let me write it down. I mean, it's a very inspirational little statement. The Buddha says, sorry. Chatunnam bhikkhave arya satcha nam ananubodha appati veda eva midang digha mantana san dhavita sang saritang mamang cheva tumha ang cha. Now, this appears in actually numerous discourses. The Buddha says, Chatunnang bhikkhave arya satchanam. Chatunnang means what? What is Chatunnang? 4. Yeah? Monks, 4 monks, arya satchanam, these 4 noble truths, ananubodha. An means like the opposite of bodha. Na ananubodha, na anubodha. Not reflecting, not really, not understanding. Appati veda, without really penetrating to it. Evang idang, this long, digha means long, Adhanang. Digang, Adhanang becomes Digha Madhana. This long journey of sansara, Sandhavitang, we have been running, Sansaritang, navigating, going around and around, whirlpooling. Mamancha, me, as well as Tumhakancha, you as well. Me and you, O monks, we have been in this whirlpool of samsara because we did not understand this Four Noble Truths. Yeah. And now, isn't that a very inspirational statement? Yeah. So, and that's why we really don't understand the Four Noble Truths. So the understanding of the Four Noble Truths comes from from where? Where does it come from? It is same as right view. Right view equals right understanding of Four Noble Truths. Yeah. Okay. So are you with me so far? I hope so. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay, great. I thought you have fallen asleep. Because it sounds like a sermon, isn't it? Yeah. So, okay. So the point is, the Buddha says you don't understand suffering. That's your problem. If you understand it, you think you understand, but you don't. And so what is avidya? What's avidya? The Pali word avidya means what? So what's the English translation of it? Avidya?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Yes. Yeah, not knowing. When you say ignorance, sometimes it gives a bad connotation. But actually, it means not knowing this reality, not knowing the Dhamma. So until and unless we penetrate into the Four Noble Truths, we really don't understand. Or we have not removed our avijja, or we have not penetrated through it. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So, any questions so far? Vijay?
Dr. Sunil, I'm very much grateful if you can little bit explain on avijja.
Avijja. Okay. Yeah. No, exactly. Yes. Now, yeah, the avijja, now that is, now this dependent co-arising. Avijja is the first, it is the first spoke of that, but it is not a first cause, but, avijja leads to sankharas. Avijja pachaya sankhara. Sankhara pachaya vijnana. And then the avijja leads to the formations, mental formations or people, translate sankhara in many different ways. And sankhara pachaya vijnana. Sankhara leads to vijnana, vijnana pacha nama rupa pacha salayatana pacha. So, everything, and then this is called the encircling. It is called anuloma. Anuloma paticca samuppada. Whereas the patiloma, like this entangling paticca samuppada and disentangling paticca samuppada is the other side around. Yeah. So avidya yatveva asesa viraga nirodha, through getting rid of this avidya itself leads to the cessation of now the second part is the cessation. The first part is the causation. Yeah, how it causes, how it ceases, right? So the causation and the cessation. Yeah. So avijja. Yeah. So that's a very important topic in Buddhism. So because that's actually that's fundamentally a fact, isn't it? And the whole world is hung up on or stuck or in this mud, or the whirlpool of samsara because of avidya, ignorance. We don't see. And that the seeing starts with penetrating into the Four Noble Truth. Yeah. And so that's why I would argue that if I were to introduce Buddhism to someone, I would start with the Mahachattarīsaka Sutta, grade 40, because which actually talks about which makes the link between the world and this, transcendence of world. Yeah, world and going beyond the world. It's, I mean, I can sort of give you a kind of a rough example. It's like what is the best way to view the world? I mean, when you hear the word view, I mean world, there are many different things, meanings go into your head. Yeah. Now let's say this what we call planet world. Now, how do you? I mean, we already live in the planet world, right? So somewhere in this planet world. So do we experience the planet world, or do we see the planet world as it is? We don't. And that's why we actually see a very flat, vast, spreading something. But, what is the best way to get a real view of the world? To get, come out of that, just come out of that and go to the International Satellite Station, Space Station, International Space Station, and you may have to pay about 20 million US dollars, not much really. So Venerable Vijita Siri can already afford, 20 million US dollars. I mean, even euros is okay, Alex. If you have.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So, you just go to the International Space Station and see the world. And so that's one way of seeing the world. So, and this is exactly the Buddhist rationale. The Buddha says, if you want to penetrate into the reality, just come out of it and perceive the world properly. Yeah. Sorry? Yeah. Pabatattva bhummate dhiro bali avikkati. Yeah. exactly. So just if you want to see a kind of a valley area, get into a higher plane and a mountain. So similarly, a wise person get a kind of a rough overview of things. Yeah. So that's sort of the idea. Okay. I know you are dying for a break. Yeah, because after a long chat. But was it of any use to you at all?
Definitely.
Of course.
Dr. Sunil, thank you so much for nice explaining, of course, yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so that's it. So I mean, starting from the Mahachattari Sutta, slowly growing, developing, going into because right view is of utmost importance. If we don't have the right view, we think. I mean, the word right is kind of relative, but how do we know what the right is the right one? You know. So our right one may be a wrong view, and then this is exactly what the Buddha says, and there were a lot of very genuine, ascetics at the time of the Buddha who were engaging in so many spiritual practices, thinking that they are on the right view, right path, right journey, because, it is right for them. But you are still in the whirlpool of the world. I mean, navigating in the world. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a short break, 10 minutes, and come back and now, read a little bit more. Okay? Is that okay? So let me pause the recording.
So according to this sutta, the ultimate form leading to enlightenment, to enlightenment would then be Lokuttara, so the Lokuttara Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
But in order to reach the Lokuttara Eightfold Path, you have to start, if I understand this correctly, you have to start with a mundane
Precisely.
path. Yes. So actually, in this sutra, you very much incorporate the idea, if I understand it correctly, of upaya. That what is necessary for each and every individual is dependent on the path each and every individual takes. Is that correct?
It is, yeah, it is, yeah.
That's great.
It is absolutely. I mean, you'll be really surprised. This is straight into Mahayana because, you mentioned the word upaya, yeah? And, again, what is the Pali word for upaya? Let me actually write that down for you. Yeah. So the Pali word, actually, upaya. I mean, upaya is a great, great word, and the meaning of the Pali word is called kusala.
Oh,
Yeah, kusala. I mean, this is also translated as skillful, means. Yeah. Yeah. So kusala. I mean, this is the core of Buddhism because all the moral philosophies talk about good and bad, right, wrong, this and that. Yeah. So basically, yeah. So now this is this is the world one. So Buddhist ethics never stops, in here. Now this is the Lokiya in the world, Lokiya Dhamma. Yeah. So which are actually referred to as the Lokiya Dhamma. And then what really brings you to the transcending the world is kusala, which is Lokuttara Dhamma. So which really transcends. So kusala samannagata. In this way, in this sutta, precisely the Buddha actually mentions the word kusala. It's called kusala samannagata, kusala samannagata. I mean, you'll be amazed, how the correspondence, between the Mahayana and the other vehicles. Here, I mean, if you really touch the Dhamma in the right side of the stake, and then you see this upaya kaushalya, kaushalya. That's a Sanskrit word of this one. Yeah, kaushalya is kaushalya, isn't it? I mean, we have a right Sanskrit scholar here, Venerable Vijita Siri. Kaushalya. Kaushalya is same as kusala, right?
Yes.
Yeah, am I right? Yes, Bhante?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
Kusalata, like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kusalasya bhava, swabhavam kaushalya. Yeah, exactly. So the kusala is a unique word to Buddhism. It is skillful means, that means, basically it really is the one which transcends the kusala, and the opposite side of kusala is called akusala. Yeah, akusala is, so kusala and akusala, and but these have actually different pairs, like punya, punya. Punya is merit, and it is not apunya, it is papa. Yeah, there's a corresponding papa, that the merit and demerit, or sin. Yeah, so punya papa. So there's a whole list of punyas, list of papas, whereas kusala does not have the corresponding list. It is, the real kusala is refraining from the akusalas. Yeah. So now you can see, when somebody transcends the world, that person transcends everything, including even the wisdom, insight. You have transcended. So it's like, just like using a raft. The Buddha says it's just like using a raft to cross the river. But once you cross the river, you don't carry the raft with you. Yeah. So whereas these ones, all the worldly ones, have the corresponding worldly descriptions, right? So exactly like what you described, kusala, I mean, it means skillful, means, and this is like, directly into the Mahayana philosophy. So I mean, I don't like to call it either Theravada or Mahayana or
No.
Zen or anything else, but it is a Dharma is Dharma, but those are different approaches. So and the amazing thing is, doesn't really matter which path you take. It's just like reaching Amsterdam from all different directions, reaching London from all different routes. So similarly, you can take your own route, but you actually get to the core. If you know the journey, if you follow the right path. Yeah. So therefore, it's quite interesting, the upaya kaushalya, upaya is such an incredible word. So it applies both to the world and transcending the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Never heard of
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
all paths, what you just said, and I agree with you very much that
Mm-hmm.
the traditional divides, denominational divides, are just mundane ways of making distinction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the fantastic thing about the Buddha Dhamma, because the Buddha describes the Dhamma as it's sublime in the beginning, sublime in the middle, sublime at the end. Adi Kalyanam, Majje Kalyanam, Paryosana Kalyanam. It's a Sattang Sabhyanjanam Kevala Paripurna. So this is, I mean, it's just like tasting the ocean. You can taste the ocean from anywhere you wish. Um, you know, I think that the best ocean is from Sri Lanka, though. I don't deny that because of the sandy beaches and everything. But it is, regardless of that. I mean, yeah. So the Buddha, the Buddha gives a really nice sutra called Paharada Sutta. I think we mentioned about that, didn't we, Bhante? Paharada Sutta at some one point. Vijay, have you heard of that? Yeah, yeah,
Anupubba Ninno,
that's right. It's like just like. Sorry.
I think we discussed that Anupubba Ninno, Anupubba Pono, Anupubba that, and step
That's
by
it.
it's go to the deep,
Exactly.
like that.
So it's just this gradual deepening, gradual path, and so it is reaching to the depth from different directions, but without losing the path. And this is why it's really important not to miss the milestones. And this is why, like, the stream entry, the once returner, non-returner, and the arahant. And so that whole entire journey is beautifully laid down. If you ask me, it is one of my favorite suttas. Like, I have about, I don't know how many, 100, 200, something like sutras that I like to quote. And I think this is so beautiful, because Buddha wanted to take us from where we are, rather than, giving a kind of very high-flown philosophy and a theory, confusing people. So, just imagine, people came from different backgrounds, different, different dispositions. So they all had to have a journey. And that journey sometimes, really starts with one step, and that step is the most precious. Yeah. So does that make sense, Alex? Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. So, okay, folks. Bhante, do you have any comments? Anything you would like to add? What do you think? Kind of discussion about our discussion. Anything? Yeah.
I also remember the Sadharma Pundarika Sutra. I think
Yeah.
Alex will explain, discuss about the third chapter, Upaya Kausalya.
Yeah, it
It's the
is great.
fundamental
Yeah.
skill of the Buddha. That means he needs to lead us for the Buddhahood or final emancipation using this skill. It's
Yeah.
described beautifully. And I think so in the Theravada tradition, we can take the Nanda Theras, Venerable Nanda Thero also leads
Yeah.
by Buddha to the
Yeah.
Nibbana like that.
There are actually many examples of that. I mean, how he, really led people skillfully, because, and this is where the Buddha Dhamma is so rich. If you really read, very carefully how the skillful means are so precious, so important, and so therefore, and I think one of the most fundamental factors about penetrating into the Dhamma is like really this wisdom, insight. It's everything is about insight. Yeah. It's not about knowledge. It's not about, accumulating data, details, or, this or that. But it's just developing this penetrating, insights, which really, gives you, and the Mahayana in many ways, in a very, esoteric way, it really captures, encapsulates that aspect of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what we're going to do now. Any thoughts, Vijay? No?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunil, for the explanation. I wonder, this is a question like, if someone asks, like, what do you recommend to measure? Like, is there any tools to measure that whether we are in the right path or whether we are doing the right mindfulness? What do you recommend?
Okay, that's a great question. That's a really, yeah. So that's a beautiful question. Like, how do you test it? That's exactly what you're asking, isn't it? Like, I mean, how do you know, what you whether you are on the right path or not? I mean, if you really compare this to a journey, and you should actually see some milestones, like the direction of the journey. And the Sanskrit, again, the Buddhist Sanskrit, I think maybe Nagarjuna, is it probably Bhante, you may remember, it's a Tapa Cheda Chenikasha Shanti. Is it Shantideva? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Bodhicharya.
Bodhicharya. So he says something like this. He says, if you want to find out the quality of the gold, what do you do? Yeah, if somebody gives you, okay, here you go, there is some gold for you. Yeah, so what do you do? Yeah, you take it to the goldsmith, don't you? Yeah. You actually get the goldsmith to examine it. And it says the Sanskrit sloka, it says tapat cheda chanikashat, by cutting and burning, tapa cheda chanikashat. So just you cut the gold, you burn it, and you just examine it. Yeah. Tapa cheda chanikashat swarnamiva panditai pariksha bhikshavo grahya. So monks, you should actually examine it, investigate it. And this is through an investigation. Now you can actually both internally and externally, do that. Now, the Buddha gives a really good criterion as to whether you are on the right journey. If you are on the right journey, there is something that really happens to you. Yeah. And and you wonder what is happening to me. Like, my halo is appearing, behind my head, So what exactly is going to happen to me? The Buddha says, check for 4 signs. Check for 4 signs. So what are the 4 signs? Yeah. If you wear a 4-color robe. No, not really. Yeah. So what are the 4 signs, Bhante? The first step is the stream entry. Yeah. So the stream entry has 4 signs. And we discuss actually this in one of our Dhamma discussions in detail.
Sadhamma savana.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yoniso manasikara.
Yeah. No, those
discussed.
are the 4. 4 requirements. 4 requirements. But don't mix this. Like if somebody. No. That's the 3 things that you get rid of. You lose 3 things. You have 4 requirements. You have the 4 characteristics. And this is important. Alex was going to say something. Were you saying something?
Yeah, I don't know if that's where you want to go, but is it wait, I have it written somewhere. Hold on. Arya Pugala?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? So like,
yeah, exactly.
Sotapanna, Sakadagami, and
that's right. Okay. That's right. So it's actually that person is called Arya Pugala, right? So that Arya Pugala, yeah. So yeah, it is Arya. The word Arya is noble one. Yeah. Arya Pugala. Pugala is, person. Yeah. So and this is also the translated, it has stream, yeah, entry, yeah. So sotapanna. Sota means the stream, entry, enterer. So the sotapanna. So sota is the 8-fold noble path. Somebody who has entered into the Eightfold Noble Path. So for that, somebody has to have, then there are four requirements, and then four signs, and you lose three characteristics. Yeah, this is such an important discussion, because I mean, so probably I should charge you for this. This is such an important one. Okay, so what are the four characteristics or four requirements? I mean, there are the four requirements are,
The Saddhamma Savanang.
yeah. The
Sattpurusha Sansevo.
first and foremost is Kalyana Mitra. Oh, this is same as Sappurisa Sansevo. So, I mean, you really need a Kalyana Mitra. You need, because if you don't have a, noble friend, now Kalyana Mitra means spiritual friend. Yeah. If you don't, I mean, the preciousness of the Buddhist teaching is, it has to come from somebody who has attained that. It's just like learning a language. Now, I mean, I can claim that I speak Dutch, but until somebody comes and tests me, like, Alex, comes along and he speaks to me, and then until, somebody comes and tests it like that, we won't know whether my claim is well-founded or ill-founded. Yeah. So the same way, Kalyana Mitra is very important. It's, and once you have the Kalyana Mitra, you have the Yoniso Manasikara. Manasikara, which is called wise, I mean, translated as wise attention. But it's actually being able to penetrate at the root of things, like yoni. Yoni is the, starting point of life. Yeah. So manasikar, being able to really put the mind into the beginning, or origin of something. So Kalyana Mitra Sansevo, Sappurusha Sansevo, Yoniso Manasikar. And the third one is Saddhamma Savana. Savana. So Saddhamma Savana is actually now, it is not enough to meet a Kalyana Mitra, but you really need to get the message. Now this is actually, this is the message. You have to get the message from the Kalyana Mitra. And then the last but not least is called Dhamma Anudhamma Patipada. Now, and following the right Dhamma means, so basically, it is connecting to the next four, where you actually show the signs. You show the signs of that you are following the right path. Okay. So these are called Sotapatti Anga. Sotapatti Anga. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so the four aspects or 4 requirements to attain the Sotapatti is this 4 Kalyana Mittas or Sappurisa Sanseva, Yoniso Manasikaro, Saddhamma Savana, Dhammanudhamma Patipatti. Okay, now we know what we lose. What are the 3 things that we lose?
Sakkaya Ditti.
Yeah, you lose Sakkaya Ditti. Yeah, Ditti. So Sakkaya Ditti is this how do I translate? I mean, you know, it is this view of existence, like existentialist view or personality view. Let's translate it as personality view. Yeah. So personality view, and then Vichikicha. What is Vichikicha?
Doubt.
Yeah, skeptical doubt. Yeah. So you have broken away from the doubt. You are not doubting anymore. You know it's very crystal clear to you that this is the path. And there is no speck of doubt, no doubt whatsoever. And then if you don't have a doubt, and then your sila, or how you behave, your character is defined by itself, and this is called non-adhering to the wrong sila, and the Pali word is called sila vata paramasa. So sila vata means vrita, Sanskrit word vrita, vata. So not taking sila to be vrata, like adherence, adhering to the wrong silas, yeah, or non-adhering rather, yeah. So because usually people adhere to the sila, and then they think, oh, I don't engage in killing. I'm a vegetarian. I'm doing this, doing that. So therefore, I am fulfilling the Shila part. If that is the case, all prisoners may be stream enterers because they can't engage in those activities anyway. Yeah. So sadly, all prisoners cannot be, that. So non-adhering to the wrong sila. Sila vata paramas. Now that's what you lose. You are losing these 3, and you are, you require these 4. And then there are 4 really important other 4 things that that show as real signs of your stream entry. Now, I want you to tell me, what are those 4? Yeah. What are the 4 really vital signs of your stream entry? And the interesting thing is, if you have If you have achieved that, you know it. Yeah. So there is a song, you know, there's a song which if you know that you say what is that song? I don't know. There's a you know, a children's song. Yeah. So it can't like, for example, I mean, maybe somebody can still not know for sure, but essentially, if you have you know, achieved that, you know exactly who you are. So it cannot remain kind of unknown to you. So what are the four vital signs of your stream entry? And these are actually well discussed in the sutras. These really come from the sutras. It's not, I'm just sort of making it up. Yeah. So what are the vital signs?
Can I make a wager?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Well, this is short in the dark, but I would say to have confidence in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the Sangha. Those are three.
Yeah.
And the fourth, I would think, is right knowledge.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that is spot on, Alex. That's really spot on. That is exactly right. Yeah. So the Pali word is called Buddhe. Yeah. Buddhe aveccha pasa dena samannagato. So he's endowed with the confidence. Confidence in the Buddha. Buddhe aveccha pasadena samannagato. Dhamme. And you know, when his teaching is also, it's correlated, you know, you actually see the Buddha through the Dhamma. So therefore you can't be just Buddhe aveccha pasado but not Dhamme aveccha pasado. So that is naturally Dhamme aveccha pasadena samannagato. And then, you know, you can't, if you have the unshaken or strong confidence in the Buddha, you also have the strong confidence in his Aryan followers. Yeah. And the last one is called Aryakantas Chile. So it's again, you know, discipline or the discipline, you know, and in the Aryan discipline, you are well versed or well know, you know exactly what the Aryan Sila is. Aryakanta Sile, that is how it is describes Arya Kanta. Now, this is in the Sotapati Sangyutta, right? Sile aveccha pasadena samannagatu. Okay. Now, that's a really good discussion. So it gave you a did it give you a good idea? Yeah. Fantastic. So this is samadhi. And again, now see how much it connects to everything else. Samadhi. So this is the samadhi in the Aryan level. Yeah. So, and that's the real beauty of it. So your view is now, your vision is clear, and you know, you are on the path, and you will not lose that confidence, you know, no matter what. Yeah, excel. So okay, okay. So that's the that's a long answer to your question, but I'm really
Much,
pleased.
much
Yeah.
merit for explaining. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So it's yeah, but that's really good to clear some of these points, and then this is where really the Pali Tipitaka, you know, and any text, whether it's Mahayana or Theravada or Tibetan or, you know, PLN or whatever, and I think I have full trust and confidence, and this is also, mind you, that confidence is not just limited to confidence is not just limited to just accepting one tradition, and that is, you know, that is also pretty sectarian. You know, now some people say, oh, I'm a Mahayana Buddhist, I have nothing to do with the Theravada. Or some people say, I'm Theravada, you know, all Mahayana is, you know, Pankam, you know, bullocks. Yeah. So, sorry, Alex, you know.
No. I absolutely agree. That is distinctive thinking, and that is distinctively un-Buddhist.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a kind of a very sectarian Buddhist, you know. I mean, there's a really interesting monk, Rinpoche came to central London, and he was asked to speak about Tibetan Buddhism. Something really funny happened on that day. He just sort of said, he just sort of scanned his eyes across everybody, and there must have been a lot of people in the hall. He just said, Tibetan Buddhism, there is no such a thing. Yeah, and he said there is Tibetan culture and Buddhism. They're two different things. Yeah, there is no such thing as Tibetan Buddhism. I mean, this is so interesting because, and I think it applies to all traditions of Buddhism. As a Mahayana Buddhism, or Theravada Buddhism, or any other, because I mean these are just labels that we put just for as marketing tools and blah blah blah, right? So and your confidence in Dhamma means you are not sectarian, and you are not subscribing to one clan, so to speak. So anyway, we have run out of our time, but it was a good discussion. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So now probably it's a good time to get some confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And so who is going to do that? Probably when so
Blessings.
thank you. Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Bhanthe.
Today I'm going to, on behalf of our Alupotha Dhammarathana Thero, I think he's doing very well, and I completely agree that he's the best chant. The voice is very good. Today I am going to bless for you. It's a traditional blessing. I think you all know our sir and Vijay may heard it. We will recite together. Yantun nimittan avamangalancca yoca manapo sakunassa sandho papak gavodus supinam akantam buddhanubhavena vinasamintu yandun nimittam avamangalancca yoca manapo sakunassa sandho papaggavodus supinam akantam dhammanubhavena vinasamintu yandun nimittan avamangalancca yoca manapo sakunassa sandho papaggavodus supinam akantam sanghanubhavena vinasamintu dukkhapattaca niddukkha bhayapattaca nibhaya sokapattaca nisoka hontu sabbe vipānina. Sakiyatus.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Venerable Sir. And thank you, Alex. Thank you, Vijay. And thank you, Venerable Dhammarathana, who was trying to connect. I'm sure he will be joining us next week. So we'll see you all next Monday. And we will continue our discussion on those topics that we discussed. Yeah. We couldn't get to the sutta, but we had a nice discussion. So that's okay. We learned a lot of Pali words, a lot of phrases, a lot of Dhamma and everything. So may this help alleviate suffering in the world, everyone, everywhere. So may all beings be well and happy. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Lovely. See you all.
Thank you.
See you,
See
Bhante.
you.
Yeah.
See you.
Much merit. And thank you
Yeah,
so
sure.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a
thank
lovely
you.
week ahead to you all.
Yeah.
Same
Thank
to
you,
you
Vijay.
too.
Same to you. Take care. Yeah.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.